Hey guys, my name is Chad Payne. I've been a developer for Lens Software for about 21 years, exclusively working on the Investor RT charting and analysis platform. I want to thank AMP Futures for hosting this webinar and giving me the opportunity to share a few things with you today. And I want to focus on volume profile, TPO time-based profile, and the profile indicator. And I also want to focus on some features that have been enabled through some additions to recent releases 12.5, 12.6, and 12.7. I'm going to share about 10 charts with you. Really want to only spend about 2 minutes on each one, and I just want to focus on what value that chart may bring to you. I'm not going to dig too deep in the technical details. And during the Q&A session, I'll explain to you how to get these charts. I'm going to share the charts with you. Really easy to pull them into Investor RT. You just do a copy paste. But if any of these charts interest you, they will be available, and you can just pull them right in. So let's jump right in. The first chart I'm going to show you I'm calling the multi-period profiles, and that's exactly what it does. It gives you volume profiles of multiple durations. We've got the green, we've got the last 5 minutes. The yellow, we have the last 30 minutes. The pink, the last day. So it allows you to see how different periods fit within larger periods. You know, you can look at the pink area, that's the current day, and you can see how the last 5 minutes fits within that day and how that day fits into the larger picture of the last 10 days and the last 25 days. The gray, if I zoom out, you'll see the gray is the last 25 days. There's a couple new features that enabled this in 12.7. One, the ability to overlay these profiles on top of each other, and also the ability to scale them to the same scale horizontally, so that if you see the volume at price of one profile is twice as wide as the volume at price of another, then you know that it has twice as much volume. So a couple new features that enabled this. So you can simply click these buttons, and I can change this 10 days to 7 days, and you'll see the profile, the blue profile, immediately updates. So you can use the buttons to change any of these periods, minutes or days. You can also change the width of the profile using this button. Now, you'll see me use a lot of buttons to change preferences within indicators. It's very convenient. Instead of having to open up the preference window of an indicator or multiple indicators, you can just specify certain preferences as variables and then let these buttons control them. So you'll see a lot of that today. It's very convenient. Matter of fact, this button controls the width. So you'll see if I change this, it changes the width of all the indicators because I've specified the width as a variable within all 6 of those profile indicators. And in this chart, we do some longer term volume profiling. We have weekly profiles where we're extending the naked point of control, the naked high, and the naked low. And within those weekly profiles, I'm going to zoom in a little here. You can see it has each day colored a different color. Monday is yellow, Tuesday is green, Wednesday is red, and so forth. And on the right, I have a composite profile. I believe this goes back 250 days, about a year. And it's also identifying the high and low volume areas. Again, I've got a button that controls the sensitivity of those high and low volume areas. So I can change this to 50, and you'll see a lot more high and low volume nodes appear. I can change it to 200, and there'll be much fewer, but they'll be higher in volume relative to the volume around it, or lower in volume relative to, with a sensitivity of 200. That means it has to be the highest volume price of the 100 prices above it and 100 prices below it. So the high volume nodes are the green bars here, and the low volume nodes are the red bars here. So at a glance, you can see where we are within the current week, within the previous week, or any of the past weeks, and in the big picture. And I've added a button to toggle the composite profile on and off. You can do that with any indicator. I can right click on this weekly profile and choose to add a button, and I could customize it with a name and a color, but you can just simply click that button to toggle that indicator on and off. You can also hit the plus key to toggle the info box on and off for each of the profiles. A lot of information you can get with the info box. There's about 20 different pieces of information you can extract from the profile: the volume, the range, the value area high, value area low, and etc. This is the volume filtering chart. So this allows you to analyze all the trades that were greater than a certain size versus all the trades that were less than that size. In this case, I've chosen 5. You can see here I'm controlling that with a button, and I'll just show you where you specify that in the instrument. Again, I'm using a variable which is controlled by the button, but you can specify a constant here, 5, 6, 7, or you can enter a variable and then let a button control it. So I've got 2 instruments in this chart. One of them is giving me the data, the volume data of all the trades that are greater than 5, and the other one's giving me all the data of the trades that are less than or equal to 5, and then I can apply indicators to both, such as I've done with on the right with a profile indicator. The blue is showing me the big trades, and the red is showing me a volume profile of the small trades. And down at the bottom, we're doing a cumulative delta of the two. You can see the blue line at the bottom is the daily cumulative delta of the larger traders, of the large trades, and the red is the small trades. So you can add multiple instruments, one, or you can do more than 2, but I've done 2 where I've got the big trades for one, the small trades for another, and then I can attach any indicator, specifically volume-based indicators, to either one. And I've chosen a volume level of 5 because it's a pretty even match overall of total volume when you do that. And then it's easier to compare things like the cumulative delta. You can see there's a lot more selling going on with the bigger traders today. We have a new RTX indicator called the Zones Indicator. Now RTX is an API which we've been working on over the past few years, and I've actually developed the last 30 or so indicators in RTX. But it allows anyone with some knowledge of C or C++ programming to come in and develop any of these indicators I'm going to show you today. So you have access to all the data, calculations, the preferences, the drawing. You have complete flexibility to do anything I'm showing you today. You can access the volume at price information. So you have complete access to the underlying data, and you can present it any way you want. You can provide a preference window, such as I have for this RTX indicator, the zones indicator. You have this kind of flexibility. So if you are a developer and you have any interest, whether you want to develop it for personal use or if you want to commercialize it, you may want to dig into our website, linsoft.com/RTX, and look into that. But back to this chart, the zones indicator makes it easy to automate the identification of consolidation areas. In this case, I'm looking for price to stay within a range of 15 ticks for 50 bars or greater. And I've also have an option to require a certain amount of volume to trade. In this case, I'm requiring 100,000 contracts to trade in that period. So stay within a range over a certain amount of time, and you can optionally include volume with that. So that's kind of what this indicator, this zones indicator, was designed to do. There are several different options. We have zipper bars. I'm not getting into all of that, but it automates the identification of consolidation areas. And then we married the profile indicator with it. So we allowed you to take the zones, which we've identified here, and let me show you that there are some naked extension options for those zones. It can extend to the right until it's taken out by a future price. Let me turn that back off and go back to the profiles. So I can just toggle on profiles, and the profiles can build, automatically create a profile for every single zone. And of course, along with that, you have the ability to extend the naked point of controls, the naked highs and lows, as I have here. I can toggle on the info box to show you information about each of these consolidation areas. So a lot of things that are opened up by allowing the profile to automatically build off these automated zones. And you'll also note that each of these naked lines is labeled with the date at which they were created, so you can quickly identify what date created each of these. This one was made on 4/24, so you can see where these came from. And along the same lines, the profile indicator can also create profiles of moves. Now I'm using the zigzag indicator to identify each key move. In this case, a move of 20 ticks or greater. So the zigzag indicator is telling me where the pivot points are between these moves. And then I'm drawing profiles automatically on each move. You could do it for each move, or you could combine a down and up move and profile that down and up move together if you wish. The profile indicator can actually you can code a signal and then put a signal marker in a chart, and then the profile indicator can create profiles between those signals. So you can programmatically code where you want your profiles to begin and end, and then the profile indicator will automatically draw profiles between those. In this case, I'm just using the pivot points of the zigzag indicator to identify my signals. And I can change this to, maybe let's change it to 15, and then I have to shift click this button down here, and those profiles will react to that different. This is the minimum move I'm requiring of those zigzags, but you can change that. The profiles will respond and update to draw profiles, volume profiles in this case. And again, you can have the info box on, the extension of the naked point of controls, and highs and lows and so forth. A lot of different, I'm showing you a lot of different ways to display the data as well. This is, I'll have to bring this up, but this is a volume shading custom gradient. So it's a gradient between the two colors you provide. And while we're on the topic of zigzag indicator, I'll quickly show you this chart, which it's a zigzag. It resets at the start of each session. We're showing you the day session, but it shows you all the moves within the session. In this case, we're looking for, again, a minimum move of 12 ticks. And the width of the line, of each zigzag line, is relative to the volume. And let me just send this to the back, get it behind the bars, send it back. But you'll see the width is relative to the volume in that move, and the color is relative to the delta of that move. So you see the blue for positive delta in that move, and red for negative delta, with the width being, again, relative to the volume. So very small volume moves here. It's labeled with the number of ticks within each move. And then you see pretty heavy volume here, and to finish the day yesterday, a real heavy volume downward move. You can see that downward move pretty well matched the upward move to start the day in volume. Very similar volume and very similar length as well. 42 ticks up, 40 ticks down on this one. Okay, a couple more RTX indicators I'm going to show you here. One's called volume candles, and the other is called trade dots. Now, the volume candles is showing you the candle and the volume profile of each bar. These are 30-minute bars, so each one's a bracket essentially. Day session on the ES. I believe all the charts I'm showing you today are the ES. And it also shows you the volume at price. Now, you have the option, three options. You have the option of the candle, the volume profile, or there are other options for the background in addition to volume profile, and you have the option for the volume at price as text. So you can turn any two of these three on, all three on. A lot of flexibility with respect to scaling, coloring, but it allows you to see the details within each bar. Gives you that information, shows you the relative volume at price, and you can also title each bar with the time, the volume, the delta. A lot of the same kind of things you can label profiles with. You can also use that to title these bars. And in this case, you see the green dots here. I'm using the trade dots indicator to find big trades. Okay, in this case, I've used a button to set that to 500. So I want to identify trades that are larger than 500. Show me where they are, and the number you see is how many large trades occurred at that price. I can change this to maybe 200. Let's go to 199, so I'll get all trades 200 or greater, and you'll see those trade dots update, and it shows me how many of these very large trades occurred at each price. And you can find clusters like we did here of big trades going off. And so here are the trade dots preferences. A lot of flexibility with identifying heavy areas of volume or large trades, that kind of information, and you have flexibility with how you size these dots. So you may want to explore that if you're looking to find price with a large amount of trades, or a large amount of volume, or large trades within a price. And on the right, I have the price statistics indicator. I have two instances. Right here, I'm showing the previous day's volume profile, and these 6 columns are the current day. It's showing the volume profile. It's colored with delta. And you've got the volume, the buying volume, selling volume at each price, the delta at each price and the number of trades at each price. So you've got a lot of flexibility within the price statistics indicator to show information at each price. And you can do multiple instances for different periods, the last 3 days, previous day, the current day, the last bar if you wish. So a lot of flexibility built into that indicator. This chart again shows the volume candles indicator, but behind it we have the price volume pattern indicator, and it helps identify patterns at each price. In this case, I'm looking for imbalance, and by imbalance I mean buying volume and selling volume getting out of line, where the buying volume of one price is much larger than the selling volume of the price below it, or vice versa. So we've got two levels of imbalance we're identifying here. We've got a 500% level and a 1000% level, and you can change these values. I can change this to 1300, and you'll see a few of those went away. Let's go real large with 2000, and you've got two different shades of red and two different shades of green to identify those two levels of imbalance. So two instances, actually 4 instances of the PVP indicator in this chart, 2 for buying imbalance and 2 for selling imbalance. We've also added an RTX indicator called day types that does just that, identify the type of day. You've got neutral, extreme, normal variation, trend, non-trend. So up here at the left, we're actually looking at daily, day session charts. And the day type is determined, for those that aren't aware, it looks at the initial balance relative to the high and low of the session and how where the price closed. So it uses that information to determine the day type. So it labels each day with a day type. It shows you the initial balance in pink and the day's range in purple, and the darker color here is the close of the day. And then it accumulates the number of each day type over here. So you'll see the most we had normal variation 54.6% of the time. So a really neat indicator that allows you to kind of know what to expect, what day types you can expect. And it shows you, it gives you a good idea of what each day type looks like. You can look at this chart and see what's a normal variation day, what it looks like versus a neutral day. So just a good chart that tries to automate the identification of day types. Now the profile indicator, it can do, I've shown you volume profiling for the most part, but it can do time-based profiling. We also have, for those that really need the letters and are more focused on the time-based profiling, we do have a standalone Tpo Profile Chart. And that's what you see here. This is split session profile. So the blue is the overnight period, and the mixed colors is a day session. You can actually click on these buttons. You see the A bracket, B bracket, C bracket, and you can change the color for the day session of each bracket. So if I changed A to maybe a darker red, you'll see that immediately update on the chart. So you got the darker red. I can shift click to split the brackets. I can also hit the tab key, and over here on the left, as you point at each letter in each profile, it gives you information, cumulative information for the profile, for each bracket, and for each letter. And we did add some new features in 12.7, which enabled you to color the overnight session one color by itself, and then to customize the colors of the brackets within the day session. And you can also see lines on the left and right showing you the value area, the initial balance, the opening range, and you can toggle many of those options down here, or double click in the chart and bring up the preferences and go to price levels, change the colors here, turn any of those options on or off. Okay, this is an interesting chart. It again uses the profile indicator. We're getting a little bit away from volume and time-based profiling here, and using it to actually profile an indicator. In this case, we're extracting the moves. Okay, in this case, there's moves of 12 ticks or greater, and we're counting how many moves were of each length. So the profile indicator is accumulating that information, essentially. So what it shows us, the minimum move here, I can control it with a button, of 12 ticks. We had 120 moves of that length. And that was actually the most common length. But you can scroll out, you can see exactly how many moves were of each duration. So these were taking every move of at least 12 ticks and then profiling each move. And again, you can hit the plus key and to toggle the info box on and get a lot of good information where the median was, the average for this profile. So, and at the bottom we have we computed the average number of moves, the total number of moves in this chart, the number of days. We're looking back 98 days. There were 1,477 moves of 12 ticks or greater during those 98 days, and the average move was 22.9 ticks. So you'll find this chart and a lot of other charts like it where we extract information, statistics out of the market. We call it homework and research. If you go to lensoft.com/homework, we have probably 40 or 50 different videos and statistical results, charts you can import. So you may want to go explore this page, lensoft.com/homework. A lot of material there. But yeah, recently we've opened up the profile indicator, so it isn't just going to do volume or time-based profiles, but it can profile any indicator, any custom indicator. You could extract where's the RSI value at 10 each day, and then profile that. So a lot of information you can extract. We could take what we've done here and extract the volume of each of these moves and profile that. So really flexible with so many things you can do with the profile indicator now. So that's all I have for today. I'll answer any questions you may have during the Q&A session, and I will again share all these chart definitions so you can pull them into InvestorRT easily. And if you have any questions about the charts later, just email support@lensoft.com. Thanks.